Get ready to kick tires and make podcast. If you're watching this video, you can enjoy Darren's lovely... Is it spring? Is it a spring tree with the motorcycle?
Oh, you know what? I'm actually not sure what it is. I'll find out from the resident Hack 5 hippie.
It's got leaves, so I assume it must be... I don't even know what type of tree it is, but yeah, please to enjoy. Here we go. Oh. Helps if I turn it up.
The Daily Tech News Show with Tom Merritt is brought to you by wonderful, awesome patrons like you. If that's not you, join this party now. Go to patreon.com/acedetect and give a little, cause it helps a lot. That's patreon.com/ACEDTECT. Hit the button, Tom.
This is the Daily Tech News for Friday, March 27th, 2015. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, Mr. Darren Kitchen from hack5.org. How is it going, Darren?
Oh, it's so great to be here, and I'm just stoked to be testing this out and joining you in our new little set that we've set up for something special coming up.
Yeah, if you're watching the unofficial video podcast that we do not warrant or guarantee will ever be delivered on time or in any type of file size or format, you can see Darren is getting stuff set up for the Buzz Out Loud reunion, and it looks awesome, man.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Also joining us to draw robots, Len Peralta. LenPeraltaStore.com is the place to find what he draws on this show, and of course LenPeralta.com. How you doing, Len?
Good, good. How do you know I was going to draw robots?
Because our story's about robots.
Oh, that's right. That's right. No, I'm excited. I got a pretty good idea here. Hopefully you guys will like it at the end of the
Yeah. What kind of robots? Yeah. I mean, I guess we could have a main discussion about robots and then you not draw robots, and I would not question your artistic choice.
I want to draw puppies today. Is that okay?
Len, can we get a robotic version of my favorite drawing ever of Tom? Because this just came in the mail, and oh man, so great.
Which one is that?
This is the Weird Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it's what you're going to be wearing at the Buzz Out Loud reunion this weekend.
If you wonder what they're talking about, go visit LenPeraltaStore.com. Let's kick it off with some headlines. Ars Technica reports that gaming company Valve plans to offer an early developer edition of the Vive reality headset for free to qualified developers. At least it's going to be free initially, but they're going to give out some free ones. Valve hopes to get a sign-up site up and running pretty soon, hopefully by next week, for all developers big and small to apply for it. Kits are expected to ship later in the spring in order to get the development hardware out widely ahead of a planned 2015 consumer launch. So they want, basically, Darren, they want to throw some headsets at people to get apps made so that when they launch this by the end of the year, there's stuff for people to do.
Yeah, well, you know what? Throw headsets at me. I am so down with that. I don't know about you, Tom, but it feels like, I don't know, maybe the last 5 or 6 years of CES and the kind of stuff coming out for consumers. You know, I was never excited about tablets or the race for e-readers or 3D TV or any of that stuff. And I feel like VR is like that sleeper technology that, like, right now, there's so many cool tech demos. There's so many cool alpha stuff coming out. There's so many cool, like, proof of concepts happening. I'm just so jazzed. Because even the alpha stuff, like I've got the Oculus Rift original dev kit, still blown away by that. So I can't say any more than I'm so excited about this. It's like I was playing with some of the latest Oculus Rift prototype stuff last night here at the warehouse, and I haven't been so excited about computers since the 486.
Dear Valve, Darren wants a headset. That's all. That's what I heard just now.
Or a 486.
Please, or send him a 486.
DX266, please.
Oh yeah, DX. That was my first 46. Got to get the DX. No, I agree with you, man. This is really exciting, and it's good that we have multiple people in this race. In fact, at the F8 Developers Conference, they were talking about that. They're happy to see other people making these because it means that it's a valid concept that people want. So it's this is, I think, the first time we can say we've got a new product that people want. And I don't know that everybody thought that was for sure about the Oculus Rift 2 years ago, but especially after the raving reviews about this from both Mobile World Congress and GDC, it seems like the Vive is a legitimate competitor.
Yeah, and it's an out-of-this-world experience. Last night we were doing 360 camera drone shots within the studio and playing it back, watching it on the Oculus, sitting in an office chair that spins, and all of our friends, like the biggest giddy smiles you've ever seen as they spin around, like looking like idiots. From the outside, you just see like a person just looking like an idiot as they spin around in an office chair, looking up and down with a huge grin, and it's that huge grin.
Even William Gibson agrees. William Gibson tried out one of these earlier this week and said they did it. And he's the guy that imagined this in the 80s, right? Mm-hmm. So you got the William Gibson seal of approval. That goes a long way towards saying something about this that's positive. Chat utility Slack notified users today of unauthorized access to its user database over a 4-day period in February. Usernames, email addresses, and if you provided Skype IDs, phone numbers, and those would be there as well, along with passwords, which they hashed with bcrypt, were stored in this database. No financial information was compromised. Slack urged all users to enable newly launched two-factor authentication.
Well, I guess on the one hand, it's good that they finally implemented two-factor authentication. And I should also give them credit for using bcrypt and not something old and busted like MD5. I mean, this Blowfish stuff is amazing. It's really simple to implement in PHP, Ruby, Perl, whatever you'd like. It's so, if you're not using it for your web service, you should be using it now. So I do have to give them credit for that. But then two questions that come to mind. First of all, how is it that you launched, and when I say you, I'm talking to Slack here, how is it that you launched a product in August of 2013 without two-factor authentication from the onset? And I feel like in this day and age, that just needs to be like a staple of like just getting out the gate. And then the other thing is, you know, more and more that I've been thinking about this, and not just authentication, but also like all of the ways to protect the privacy of the user. Why is it that that any of this could be leaked? The phone numbers, the passwords, the Skype IDs, all of that stuff. I mean, sure, that's nice that it's decrypted, right? But it makes no sense that the contents of, well, in this case, the chat messages on Slack, why is it that the contents are even viewable by the service provider? Because really, that just means that the service provider is now beholden to, you know, government national security requests. You know, they have.
Now, they didn't say anything about the contents being stolen. Do we know that the contents are viewable by the provider?
No, I haven't seen anything about the contents either. But it just makes me want to say, like, okay, listen, if you should at least have two-factor authentication right out of the gate, and I think we can all agree upon that. I'd like to even see it taken to the next level whereby the service provider doesn't even know the contents of any of the messages, because then they can't comply with...
Yeah, because there was no, I just want to be clear, there was nothing about messages in this hack.
Right.
It was just a database that had user information. And I agree with you. I'm not going to slag Slack for not having two-factor authentication, because they are far from being the only company that is slow on this. And in fact, they are much faster than most companies. That said, I totally agree with you. Two-factor authentication should be considered from launch at this point for anything with sensitive information. I will give them credit, though, that they already had it in the works and they launched it as soon as they're like, well, crap, we were hoping to get this out before a hack happened, but we didn't, so we'll get it out today. And they were very firm in their emails saying you should really enable this. I guess where I would go next is not so much to the content of the user information of the messages, since that wasn't necessarily in question, but why is it that every one of these hacks, Darren, they say, oh, the financial information wasn't touched? Well, why not put all my information in the same protection that the financial information is in?
Well, see, that's kind of what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah.
If your authentication mechanism isn't two-factor, it makes it really simple that just the symmetric key that is your password will let anybody with it get into your account. And once they're into your account, they can see the history of all of your chats, and that could include trade secrets and things of those nature should be protected with the same strong encryption that's used to store your password. So while it's good that companies are getting on board to get, you know, to beef up the authentication mechanism, the same should be applied to the actual messages, to the point where, kind of similar with an encrypted iPhone, say the police can't go to Apple and say, hey, unlock this guy's iPhone, because they're like, we don't know anything. And so it's going to be a beautiful world where service providers can say the same thing. And because it actually protects them from any sort of, like, you know, if there's a break-in and trade secrets are lost, and I think it would actually really help them a lot as far as litigation or legalities are concerned. Help me out here, the word.
Lawsuits?
Yes, lawsuits.
I think that's where you were going with that.
Yes, that is.
I couldn't think of the word either, though. There's another word that I know you were trying to hit, and I couldn't come up with it. But
Litigation.
litigation.
Litigation?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Liability.
That's
Liability.
the one. Thank you. I knew it
Yeah.
was a word.
Knew it would come eventually. Anyway, I think where we end up with this is encrypt all the things, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Recode reports HTC design chief Jonah Becker has left the company. Jonah's predecessor Scott Croyle left HTC just last April. Both Becker and Croyle worked at the design firm One and Company when it was acquired by HTC. So it's not that unusual for acquired employees to eventually leave after a while, but it does show a little bit of a shakeup going on at HTC, which is known for good design these days. Jonah's role will be taken over by Daniel Hunt. It's also worth noting that HTC co-founder Cher Wang took over as CEO last week from Peter Chow. Peter Chow is staying directing the research lab. Apple CEO Tim Cook told Fortune magazine that he plans to donate his fortune to charity after he's paid for his nephew's college education. Fortune estimates Cook's net worth based on his holdings of Apple stock at around $120 million, although he also holds restricted stock worth $665 million if it were to be fully vested. But even with that restricted stock, he's still not actually a billionaire, unless you just round up. Cook told Fortune he is trying to develop a more systematic approach to philanthropy that goes beyond just writing checks.
See, this is kind of rad. I'm just figuring if Bill Gates can give like $500 million to fighting malaria, surely even the $120 million that Tim Cook has could make a pretty big impact too. And I'm not just saying against that one particular disease, but also like, you know, I love the idea of like, dude, once you've got $1 bajillion, make some good in the world.
Yeah, and I think it's totally fair for him to say, look, I want to pay for my nephew's college. Like it's a family member, it's close to me. I'm going to make that happen. And then I'm going to have more than I can use, and I want to try to do something good for the world. I'm curious what that systematic approach might be. But I like the idea also that Tim Cook is saying, well, I'm not just going to dump a bunch of money on somebody because it could be wasted. It might not be the best place. Is there a way to optimize this money so it actually does good? It's a very Apple way of approaching philanthropy, actually.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, those student loans, they're not cheap, right? You know, especially getting an education here in the United States. I mean, sure, he could just tell his nephew to go to Germany and get it for free. Maybe he could apply some of those millions of dollars he has to, I don't know, furthering education here. That'd be good too.
Yeah, pile it on top. That's a good idea. The LG Watch Urbane LTE goes on sale in South Korea March 27th, which I think was yesterday in Korea, but it's today here. Users can place and receive calls through the watch without being tethered to a smartphone. Going to cost you 650,000 Korean won. That roughly translates to about $590 US. Contract available for 10,000 Korean won, which is about $9 a month, which includes 50 minutes, 250 text messages, and 250 megabytes of data. No word on when the rest of the world will get the smartwatch, but there you go. Enjoy, Koreans.
Hey, sign me up. Are you excited about this?
I am excited to see how it gets used. It's certainly, you know, I have been waiting for a watch that didn't need to be tethered to a phone. So yeah, I am excited about the idea of this.
Have you played with any of the smartwatches, the current gen?
Yeah, my wife has the LG, and I've played around with, like, Brian Brushwood has a Pebble, and I've played around with a couple other of them. It's not for me, is the thing.
Yeah, Tom, I'm saying the same thing. I've got two wrists held up right here, and neither of them have a watch. I've got the LG G Watch R, and I don't wear it because the Bluetooth, it's so kludgy, and I just feel like if the thing actually had its own connection, maybe that would solve some of the issues. But really, I feel like the limiting factor is battery life. So I'd be curious how long this lasts, and also if it's going to burn a hole in your wrist.
Yeah, I mean, because the Pebble limits the screen resolution. You know, it does some things to make the battery last a lot longer, which is the big advantage that Brian always talks about. Putting LTE into a watch, that's going to burn through some battery for sure.
Mm-hmm.
BizTech Africa reports that Phase 3 Telecom has started deploying aerial fiber optic infrastructure. That means they run it along high-voltage transmission lines between Kano, Nigeria, and Gazawa in Niger Republic. I'm pretty sure I'm mispronouncing that, so apologies. But basically from Nigeria to Niger Republic. Niger Republic is landlocked, and the deployment will connect it to the undersea fiber optic connection in Lagos, and therefore give them access to bandwidth that the country has not had. Niger Republic has one of the lowest internet penetrations in West Africa, so this is a big move for that country.
Hey, and it's an awesome use of otherwise unused or not unused but underutilized right of ways that
Yeah.
are only being used for high voltage lines, which I am assuming does not interfere with fiber optic.
I don't
Obviously.
know enough about aerial fiber optic infrastructure to say, but I'm going to guess it must not. I mean, Phase 3 says this is a more reliable way to do it. So, I'm going to take it at their word, unless it's just cheaper and they want to make it sound that way. Time now for some news from you. Captain Kipper pointed out the CNET story at our subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Go subscribe to it, folks. Let us know. If you're like, hey, why didn't you cover that story? One way to get us to pay more attention to that story is to either submit it or find somebody else who has already submitted it and vote it up at the subreddit. This CNET story is about computer engineering major Viet Tran and electrical engineering major Seth Robertson of George Mason University, who have developed a prototype handheld fire extinguisher that uses sound to douse flames. Low frequencies in the 30 to 60 hertz range disrupt oxygen enough to suffocate flames. The prototype has a sound frequency generator, a small amplifier, a collimator made out of a cardboard tube with a hole in the end, and that focuses the waves in a specific direction. It works on small controlled fires already, so this is a practical application. They want to develop it further to be able to work on large structural fires. They've even got a fire department that's interested in testing it out and developing it with them further.
It sounds a lot better than filling your server room with halon, although I have to say 2 words here, death ray.
No, it puts out the flames. It doesn't cause things to explode. When the roof is on fire, it's all about the base to put it out.
Well, I can't top that, Tom. You got me.
Possibly Geek
I'll take
shares this next story from CSO reporting security vendor Cylance, who has uncovered security flaws with 277 in-gate routers. That's INN. You'll see why in a second. 29 countries have at least one of these routers. They're often used in hotels, hence the name in-gate, as well as convention centers. They're for visitor use. Anytime you log on to something that requires you to go through a browser to authenticate, could be one of these routers. It's that kind of router. The flaw, called CVE 2015-0932, allows remote access, quote, through an unauthenticated rsync daemon running on TCP 873. Once the attacker is connected to the rsync daemon, they are then able to read and write to the file system of the Linux-based operating system without restriction, and that gives them the ability to do pretty much whatever they want. In-gate routers are manufactured by Singapore-based Ant Labs for use in the hospitality industry and corporate guest networks.
I can only imagine the manufacturer of a router that doesn't even bother to authenticate rsync may not be like the most proactive about issuing patches. And then when you consider the customers for said routers, I'd be very surprised if we don't continue to see these vulnerable for years to come, which is kind of a ongoing problem when it comes to like Internet of Things and embedded infrastructure.
Yeah, you definitely want to be running a VPN when you log on to anything like this, because you're not going to be able to tell if it's using an Outlamp router very easily. I mean, there are ways, but it's not something that anybody can just like, oh, I look at the Wi-Fi login and I know what it is, right?
Well, there's actually a really quick and easy way, Tom, to tell if you're connected to one of these vulnerable routers, and that is to try to make an unauthenticated rsync connection to TCP/port 873.
I said easy ways. I guess for some, making that rsync connection is pretty easy, right?
Yeah,
it's a good point.
rsync.
Yeah. Guy from Trinidad sent the Engadget report that Nigeria's Consumer Protection Council has adopted a strategy of criminal prosecution against telecom executives if they don't improve service. Mobile phone adoption has risen so high in the past 4 years in Nigeria that network congestion and dropped calls have become common. The CPC could not find a single operator that achieved the connection promised in their consumer service agreements, so they're threatening to throw them in jail. And they're not the first country to do it. Tanzania and Zimbabwe regulators have taken similar action already.
What? This is... I'm very conflicted on this, because on the one side, as a former phone freak, it's like, yeah, give it to the man, the telcos are evil. And then as somebody who has built infrastructure, you understand, like, yeah, sometimes the packets hit the floor. Like, what are we going to do? How much more money are we going to have to throw at this? And then I think, like, could this ever happen in the States here? Could you imagine criminal charges against AT&T for dropped calls? I mean, they don't even get criminal charges on them for warrantless wiretaps.
Yeah, I mean, everybody who used an iPhone in the late 2000s in San Francisco is looking at this story going, wow, I wish city of San Francisco would have done that. That would have been amazing. And let's be clear. A, if you heard the earlier story about Niger Republic, different country than Nigeria. Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa. Second, they haven't actually thrown anybody in jail, even in Tanzania and Zimbabwe, to my knowledge. This is all just threatening to say, look, you need to improve your service, or this is essentially against the law, is what they're saying. You're promising people that stuff that you can't deliver, and that's not okay. T. Gosa sent us this post from Engadget covering Toshiba and Intel's 3D NAND announcements. These new NAND designs allow chips to be stacked in layers to increase data capacity. Toshiba said it created the first 48-layered NAND that has produced a 16-gigabyte chip with boosted speeds and reliability. Engineering samples have been made available, and shipping products are expected in about a year or so. Concurrently, Intel and partner Micro revealed a new 32-layered NAND chip that will ship inside solid-state drives next year as well. So if you're like, wait a minute, I'm not a storage expert, doctor, what does all this mean? Micron said the new chips will allow a gumstick-sized M.2 PCI SSD with 3.5 terabytes. In other words, a 3.5 terabyte thumb drive and a 2.5-inch SSD with 10 terabytes of storage. In other words, 10 terabytes in your ultra-thin laptop. That's what that means.
Yeah, just imagine a Beowulf cluster of USB terabyte drives.
Oh my gosh. It's just a USB hub Beowulf cluster.
Yeah, just rate them up right there.
Yeah.
That's
amazing.
Use USB 1.1 just to gimp it a little.
You know, and this always happens, right? You and I both have lived through this kind of like, wow, they have gigabyte drives now. It's amazing, right? We always tend to figure out how to fill up the space somehow. But right now, 10 terabytes feels like plenty for me. I'm sure 4K video will come along and change that. I don't know. And that, my friends, is a look at the headlines. All right, but we got robots to talk about. Two things. First of all, Rewalk Robotics is planning to launch their wearable exoskeleton in India in Q2. Now, they've already launched it in Europe and the United States. It's available in Australia, Germany, Japan, and Taiwan. It's a powered hip and knee exoskeleton that allows motion for lower limb disabilities, so paraplegics, to allow people to stand, walk, and in some cases they can even climb stairs with it. They are not cheap. The company has sold 74 devices in 2014, and that's a lot. They're around $70,000 to $80,000, and in India they're going to sell for between 4.6, 4.7 million Indian rupees, which is about in the same range. The reason it's big to come to India is India has about an estimated 800,000 paraplegics that this can help. Meanwhile, also in health robotics, Google's life sciences team and Johnson & Johnson's Ethicon, which is a wholly owned corporation, they're famous for making sutures and wound closing devices. Anyway, those two are going to team up to develop robot-assisted surgical platforms. The idea here is to have capabilities for intellectual property and expertise to come together and develop minimally invasive devices with give surgeons, it's not going to be robot surgeons, the surgeons are going to use the robotics for greater control, access, and accuracy. They said in their press release they want to integrate best-in-class medical device technology with leading-edge robotic systems, imaging, and data analytics. You can see that Google's done a lot with robotics. They certainly know data analysis. If they can make robotic tools more precise, improve the procedures with data analysis, integrate Google Glass for control, which has already been done in some health situations, and make surgeons more precise and speed up recovery time. This is huge, Darren.
Yeah, and it's also really exciting to see Google teaming up with established brands and established companies that know this industry, and them say like, hey, because sometimes when you are in an industry and you have been in there forever and you always look at it one way, it's so beautiful when somebody can come in from the outside. They're like, look, we just know robots and tech. Like, how do we apply that to surgery? That's really exciting.
Yeah, Ethicon's been around since 1949. They sprung out of Johnson & Johnson, like I said, making sutures. So this is a company that has a history of this sort of industry, but also is making devices. They've been making electronics. It's not like they just make sutures and they're not going to be like, who are these Google people with their robots? This is a really good pairing from what I can tell. And this is the first one of these stories of like a tech company's getting into health where I feel like I can see how this would have easily measurable practical benefits very soon.
Right. Yeah. And if, eventually, complete robot surgeons. Right. I mean,
Well,
I think the
is it going to
trickiest
be
bit
okay?
is
So the idea with self-driving cars is always that, oh well, we have lane assist and we have parallel parking assist and we have the speed control. Eventually, it'll just like become self-driving without us hardly noticing. Could that happen to doctors, where they're like, well, it's just robotic machines, and the data analysis tells me where to go, and then all of a sudden one day the doctor walks in and realizes I'm not actually doing anything. I just press the replace heart button.
It's the George Jetson thing, where it's like, what does George Jetson do when he gets to Mr. Spacely's office? He presses the button that starts everything, and then he just waits till 5 o'clock. I think the biggest thing will actually be the empathy aspect. And if you can teach robots that, and if people will be willing to accept it, because that is a very important part of the whole surgery thing. That's not, the technical bits. But yeah, it's still really, really exciting. What do you think of this rewalk stuff? It's so cool to see this outside of the exoskeletons outside of the military industrial complex.
Right, because it's easy to want to just go to like, and then they'll blow things up. But you are allowing people to walk. For the like in regular cases, and yes, a lot of people in India that need this probably won't be able to afford it. But one of the things they're looking at is providing it to local healthcare institutions so that it can be rented and help people learn how to work with it, and maybe eventually be able to use it part-time or use it more often than they would otherwise. It's also worth pointing out that Rewalk's founder, Amit Ghaffar, is quadriplegic himself.
Yeah, I mean, the rental thing will have to exist because these things are not cheap.
No.
Hopefully it's some sort of thing where, I could imagine like a whole service of kind of like Zipcar, but for these, because of the expense. My hope is that this is, considering we're all kind of like on the same playing field when it comes to electronics nowadays, it's so fantastic, the kind of crazy stuff that we see coming out of hackerspaces and makers doing. I hope that this is not too patent encumbered for other people to say like, oh, okay, a couple of servos, some batteries, motor controllers, some Arduinos, whatever have you. Actually, probably not mimicking it completely the way that Rewalk does. Their system, from what I've been reading, uses Windows. Maybe that's not the best choice, but it's their product. I'll let them do it the way they want. Maybe that's why it's so expensive. But
no, Windows 10 is going to be free. You know that.
I know.
You're making old jokes. Windows has changed, man.
Oh, don't stop it. No.
It's new Microsoft. They love me
I can't go down
now.
that path with you right now. I can't do it.
The first
Hurt
units
too
ship
much.
in 10 days to distributor SciMed Innovations in New Delhi for training. But I think you're right. Like the idea of making something like this extensible in an open platform in a place like New Delhi where you have a bunch of makers really could expand what you could do with this for sure.
Yeah, get a prize behind this. There was a DARPA challenge. Berkeley was the robotics lab was very involved in this. Later on, it just became this expensive Lockheed Martin military thing for carrying giant loads on people's backs, so you combat, kill people, all that stuff. So apply, do it the other way, which is have a prize for allowing people to walk again.
Where Fraser Kane from Universe Today works is called HeroX.com, HeroX.com. Their idea is to allow people to create their own X prizes. I don't think they could say it that way, but that's essentially the idea. Is they want to make crowdsourced X prizes that people can get behind. So maybe something like that could happen there.
See, I heard that Tim Cook was going to throw $120 million at this prize.
There we go. That's where Tim Cook puts his money. Exactly. We've solved your problem, Tim. You're welcome. All right, and that's a look at that. Our pick of the day, we've got a couple of people. I kind of knew when we mentioned Sublime as a text editor that we would get some more people saying, well, I use this text editor. Because if there's anything that can divide a room, it's saying, I love Emacs, which I've done before. So Jacob wrote in and said he uses open source brackets from Adobe. It's a great application for writing code in tons of languages. It supports extensions, tabs, and more. It's built using HTML5, so even lowly front-end developers like me, says Jacob, can dig in and modify stuff. His favorite extension is brackets Git, so that he can use the GitHub. Brackets.io is the place to get that one. And then Brian said, hey, Notepad++, it's a classic, pretty close to the same feature set as Sublime, including a rich plugin system, but is free as in beer. It's hard to ignore this advantage in an editor since you can install it without worries on other machines you happen to be using or working on. I guess the same would apply to Brackets too. Even though it's made by Adobe, it's open source. You can get Notepad++ at notepad-plus-plus. You have to spell out plus.org, or just search Notepad++. It'll come up in your search pretty easily. I mentioned I use Simple Note. I actually use Notational Velocity a lot, and I'll just use whatever built-in text editor is there in most systems a lot too. But what text editor do you use, Darren?
I will say that Sebastian is a huge fan of Sublime Text. He swears by it, so I haven't used it myself, but Sebastian is the lead developer on the Wi-Fi Pineapple, so throw that out there. I love Nano when it comes to Linux systems, but what I find is that I kind of end up going with whatever the default is for the operating system to do plain text editing. In fact, right now I'm on a Windows system for this live stream thing, and I've got Notepad open. And part of the reason is, as a sysadmin, I would learn, do not customize your desktop. Do not get reliant on certain tools, because you're going to go to so many computers that you should just learn to use some of those. Although on the Windows side, I liked this program called EM Editor, but it's not really kept up to date anymore. So I think Notepad++ has quite surpassed it. But yeah, definitely Nano. None of that Vi stuff or Vim or Emacs. Nano all the way.
Wow. Tinvek in the chat room said he's not sure that he can be friends with me anymore if I'm an Emacs man. But I think you just pulled another chunk of the audience.
We don't want any of those. You know what, Tom? We don't want any of those Vi users in your audience.
Are we going to band up against the Vi users now?
No. The VI users, you don't want those guys.
Text editor wars. We accept all text editor uses in all seriousness, folks. There's no judgment. Well, there's a little judgment, but not much. Almost none. Just messages of the day. We have Heath from beautiful Austin suggesting a solution to the problem of describing a voice activation in an audio podcast that could trigger that voice activation for someone listening to said podcast on said device. He said, call it a Siri call or an Xbox call. Here's what he wrote. Much like a duck call or other animal call is used to get the attention of an animal by hunters and photographers, a Siri call is used by iPhone users to get the attention of their digital assistant. So rather than saying iPhone users say, hey, Siri, for hands-free use and having to do that weird pause, so I try not to set people's devices off, you could say iPhone users say the Siri call for hands-free use. The name also references my favorite show growing up, Boy Meets World. On the show, a character Eric would call to his mentor, Mr. Feeney, in a funny way, and it was called the Feeney call. Maybe we just call them Feeney calls. When you Feeney call your Xbox.
Not feeling this, although I like the concept of jumping air gaps this way.
Yes. It's something I take horrible pleasure in and try to stop myself from doing. Twice wrote in and said, in reference to DTNS 2458, yesterday's show, I was in the same boat as you, except I was the primary Prime owner and I shared it with my wife. I was talking about how you share an account for shipping. It doesn't give you all the other benefits like streaming video. Twice said she's a non-geek regular person, so she didn't understand why I could stream video and she couldn't, even though she had a Prime. Now, I don't believe in people sharing their real primary accounts with anyone, but dummy accounts are fine, so here's what he did. He did not renew his Prime subscription at expiration, created a new shared Amazon account with all the family through a family Gmail account that they already had created years ago, not to have to buy Android apps and subscriptions multiple times. Signed up for the Prime account with the new Amazon account. As a bonus, we got 30 days free again. Shared Prime from the new account with his wife's and his own real accounts, then deleted the credit card used to purchase the Prime from the new account. Bingo! We still both have Prime shipping on our individual real shopping accounts, and we use new shared streaming accounts when we want to stream Prime Video. Now I don't have to sign in and out of Amazon on a family shared home theater PC all the time. Seems like a good solution for that particular problem, don't you think?
Hey, it sure beats, using all those cookie plugins to manage multiple accounts.
Yeah, and also I get where he's
that.
like, I'm going to have a bunch of credit cards associated with my account. I don't want to be signing in other people and then have them accidentally charging things to my account. If he deletes that credit card from the shared account, he's going to have to remember to go back and put it back in once a year to renew, I guess. That's the only downside there, maybe. But yeah, pretty elegant solution there, Twice. Thanks for emailing. And that is it for the show. Thank you, Darren Kitchen. As always, thank you extra much for lending us your warehouse this Sunday for the Buzz Out Loud reunion. I cannot wait, man. It's going to be awesome. And it looks amazing.
Thank you. I'm very excited. This is going to be epic. So, and we've got, as the cable installer said, we have 0.6 helibits. I thought we were getting all the helibits. We've only got 600 megabits, which translates to 0.6 helibits.
0.6 helibits.
But that'll
Well,
be
you're
enough.
getting closer. You're getting closer.
Yeah.
That'll be plenty for us, for our needs, for sure. And of course, Len Peralta, as promised, has been drawing robots. Len, what have you drawn?
Well, I have been drawing a robot. I know you said during the discussion story that Google isn't really getting into robo-docs. But that's what I sort of drew here because that's the first thing I thought. Robo-doc, Robocop, of course, I think it'd be really, really cool. And honestly, I don't think it's going to be too long before we start seeing stuff like this. Here I want to point out a couple things for the video viewers, and you can actually check this stuff out at lenperaltastore.com. First off, he's got the Google Plus logo right on his Robocop outfit there. Of course, the prime directives are administer meds, protect the sick, and uphold the Hippocratic Oath, which I think is really cool. And finally, there you are, of course, you and Jenny, huddling in fear from the RoboDoc, who is going to administer your meds and, of course, protect the sick. So.
Now, I have to say, the Google Plus logo, I don't think you sold it well enough, is an actual red cross, which that's what a plus is also, is a cross.
Yes.
That's very clever. I like that.
Yes.
I also think this fits right in with the story, Darren. We were saying, like, slowly the doctor will realize that everything has become robotic, and that's kind of what you're showing here.
Yeah,
Yes.
and with all the medical apps and all of that, it's like we're getting more and more used to it. Like, oh, I've got this, cough or whatever, and it's like coughing into your iPhone and all of that stuff.
Yeah, it looks good, man. LenPeraltaStore.com, right? Is it as usual up there already?
It is up there already, and by the way, I welcome the RoboDoc lords as I'm sure they'll be coming later. And of course, you can purchase this as a print, but you can also, of course, go to my Patreon, patreon.com/Len, and you could back the DTNS lover level, and you will get every single one of the drawings I do on Friday for DTNS as part of a digital package. It's just another option for you if you want to hang stuff up, as Darren does. You can do that, or you can get these digitally.
Yeah, basically we're letting you decide how much Len gets paid for this gig, right? So
in so many words, yes.
That's the deal, folks. Go check it out. Help Len out. Thanks to everybody who determines what we get paid to do the show as well. Patreon.com/AceDetect is our own Patreon, and we are incredibly grateful that people find enough value in the show to give some value back. You can find all the ways to support us at dailytechnewsshow.com/support. And as I mentioned, Buzz Out Loud reunion from the Hack 5 warehouse this Sunday at 12:30 Pacific, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be streaming it live on Alpha Geek Radio, Alpha Geek Video, DiamondClub.tv, and we need your voicemails. If you are a citizen of Buzztown and want to tell us what you've been up to, call this number and leave a voicemail. You might recognize it. It's 512-59-DAILY. That's 512-593-2459. As I said, the show airs at 12:30 Pacific, Sunday, March 29th, and at Alpha Geek Radio, hack5.org, DiamondClub.tv. So get those voicemails to us by Saturday. That is it for this show. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can listen to us live Monday through Friday on alphageekradio.com. Our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. There's a store there, too. You can buy stuff. We'll be back Monday with Molly Wood on the program on the actual 10th anniversary of Buzz Out Loud. Talk to you then.
Studios Network. For more information about this and other shows, visit frogpants.com. Audio program so good, it's like you're there.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Silverblade, the number that's still in operation is the phone number for Daily Tech News Show. Although the Buzz Out Loud number is in operation, we don't have access to it. So please don't call and leave a voicemail there that you want us to play on the show.
That's so great. I just love that this is a podcast of indeterminate pay.
It is. That's true. I hadn't even thought about that. I was thinking maybe Monday when Molly's on, we'll just each take a tech topic and give you our take.
Mm-hmm.
Give you 10 minutes. Marketplace's own Molly Wood. Yeah, Jenny, do you know if she's... When does she actually start for Marketplace? I don't hear you, Jenny.
Fake. Is that...
Yeah. Oh.
Hello? Man. All right. So, can you hear me now?
A little bit. Yeah, you're really low, but we hear you.
For the love of all things holy. How about that? How about that? How about that?
That turned it way down.
Oh, I give up.
There you go. That's better.
All right. So my answer was, she starts, like, I think officially April 13th.
Oh, okay.
So right now she's the internet's Molly Wood.
She's Molly Wood's Molly Wood.
Molly Wood's Molly
And nobody else's.
Yep. It's pretty great. So yeah, there's that.
Taxi cab, if you call the Buzz Out Loud number, voicemail picks up, and it's Steven, the final producer, saying, thank you for calling Buzz Out Loud. Whatever that voicemail was back at the very end, they've never changed it, and the number still works.
It's just like full of a bunch of messages like, hey guys, haven't seen any updates on the RSS feed in a while, just wondering if you're taking a little hiatus or...
Well, I'm curious because that voicemail box would get full, and we would have to delete it constantly if we wanted to be able to actually accept voicemails. So I'm sure if you try to leave a voicemail now, it would just say, sorry, voicemail box full. But I wonder when the last time they emptied it was. Yeah.
So what you're saying is if you call in right now and it doesn't tell you that the voicemail box is full, you're just going to be heartbroken that no one's been calling.
No one's been calling. Or someone emptied it and then no one ever called again.
That'd be odd. Or you could just...
Dear people who work at CNET, could you get on that? Let's go find out who's been calling for the last hour.
I think the reason we can't hear you very well, Jenny, is you're talking to the side of the mic, maybe.
Did you hear that?
A little bit. Yeah.
I don't understand.
It's weird.
Move the flat end of it facing your mouth.
Yeah, but I'm trying to also compensate for the fact that the blue icicle falls out all the time. Hold on.
I liked it up better. It looked like Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead when you were doing that.
I thought it was...
When you say it falls out, do you mean
pipe.
the USB cord falls out?
No, I think she means the XLR connection, that the icicle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've got a pretty snappy.
Yeah, I know. I've got a cable for you.
All right, I'm using the default microphone. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I apologize.
That's even lower.
That's worse?
I hear her better, though, than the other one.
All right.
Yeah.
I have a solution. You want my solution?
You're going to type.
Just
Can you
mutes
mime it?
herself.
You're going to type
No,
it
I've got an XLR cable in my bag for you, and then you can just put the icicle down on the ground, because the problem is when you put the icicle right into the mic, it's not optimal, as you have found out. You don't need me to tell you that. You're also still muted, in case you forget.
All right, I gotta finish my laundry.
Really?
Really,
Just
Len?
tell us you have to
Really?
wash your hair, Len. Jeez.
No, I got. Well, here's,
I like the meatloaf and fish fry excuses better. You're losing your creativity.
Here's the other thing you
I thought
need
it was
to know.
spaghetti night.
Yeah, here's the other thing you need to know about Friday. So everybody knows that Friday is spaghetti night at my house because Nora works and I have to cook, and it's an easy thing for me to do. Friday is also laundry day. So as I'm working, I'm also doing 7 or 8 loads of laundry.
Fair enough.
And so I am Mr. Mom. I am Michael Keaton on Fridays. So
I can't wait till you become Birdman. Then that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, well, I am already Birdman. So it's pretty.
Well, I guess Michael Keaton as Mr. Mom was also partly Birdman.
He was.
Yeah.
He was. Very exciting. And good luck on Sunday. That's going to be a lot of fun. I wish I could be there. That's going to
Hey,
be
thanks,
really
man.
cool.
Can you be there
I wish you could,
digitally?
Sunday, what time is it?
12:30 Pacific.
3:30 Eastern.
3:30? Possibly. Yeah. What's the just where do I go? Where do I go to to the URL?
It'll be on hack5.org.
Okay.
And live streaming along with diamondclub.tv and Alpha Geek, all the things.
I'm sure I will see it on social media, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It will be also present on social media. Yeah, it'll have a really nice set.
That's cool.
That I
Yes,
know.
I will definitely check it out. I will check it out, and if I can pop in, that'd be great.
Awesome.
All right, don't forget the fabric softener.
Oh yes, the bounce. Yes, of course. All right, take care.
See you, Lynn.
Bye, Len.
I'm
Darren,
picking.
Do you have
if,
a wide shot? Do you have a wide shot on there?
if the robot's on fire, it's all about the base. Is going to be the
Nice.
title.
Nice.
Yeah, I can show you in a bit when we
Okay.
stop going live, and then we can go over other logistics.
Yeah. By the
Hey,
way,
this
I'm
was a
wearing my
successful
DTNS
test of
t-shirt
taking on
today.
tasks.
I saw.
Company pride.
Woohoo!
You look just like your avatar.
Yeah.
Except
That's
not
right.
blue.
Instead of on the computer, it's on me. Tom, I have a nerdtacular question for you too. Once we're
Yes.
or a nerdtacular offer. How about that? An offer?
And now I'm suspicious.
No, it's a good offer.
It's an offer you can't refuse, Tom.
Are you
No,
going
we
to
could
tell me, or?
definitely- Yeah, I'll tell you after.
Yeah.
I'm Johnsoning it.
Oh, you're saying
I'm
you have
Johnsoning
something
it.
to tell me later. I get it.
Yeah.
I thought you were about to make the offer.
No.
I don't know.
we
That's
need to
that.
figure
I
it
don't know.
out.
The client might get cold feet by then. If you set up the offer, you should try to close.
That's true. That's true.
I was around
I,
salespeople and marketing
I'm
people yesterday.
pre-approved.
Could you tell?
I'm pre-approved for this offer. Yeah, how'd that go? Did it go well?
It was great. It was really fun. I got to meet, or not meet, I got to see Norm Patiz, who is a legend. The man founded Westwood One, co-founded it, which is
That guy in
what?
the center with the silver fox hair?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
He created radio syndication when there was no such thing. He's got a very successful podcasting system going on called Podcast One, and just a really nice guy. A pleasure to talk to. And I got to meet lots of other cool people. I got to see Mike Wolf in person, so it was really fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yay.
Yay! And I helped one woman try to figure out how to submit her RSS feed to iTunes through SoundCloud.
Oh my gosh. You helped me with that. That's not easy. Let me tell you.
Well,
I still
it's-
don't know if I did it right.
I'm sure you did. It's looking good.
There.
Yeah.
It's there.
She didn't want to go through FeedBurner, so
Right.
she was trying to submit the RSS directly from SoundCloud, and I was trying to be like, you might want to change that later, so you might want to use FeedBurner, and she's like, oh, it's too complicated.
You know what's
But-
interesting is I didn't know if I was doing it right by submitting the FeedBurner link, like the FeedBurner. I thought for some reason
The
I was
ad-
worried that
Yeah.
you had to use the website's feed.
The advantage to FeedBurner is that if FeedBurner stays around, which a lot of people don't want to use it because they're worried about that,
Yeah.
but the idea is that FeedBurner allows you to submit that link, and then if you need to change your RSS, you need to change your blog, you need to change the format, you need to change the domain name, it doesn't matter. You can put whatever RSS feed in FeedBurner, and everybody who's subscribed to that will then still be subscribed, because FeedBurner is basically masking it. Now, you can do that on your own. If you own your own domain name, you can redirect the domain to an
Right.
RSS feed too, and that's what we did at CNET. And it's probably what I should do at Daily Tech News Show
I
as
was
well.
about to say, didn't this problem get solved by DNS?
Yeah,
100
but
years ago?
no, it's for people who don't I don't understand DNS, but FeedBurner gives you other things as well, and that's one of them. That's all. I'm saying.
Did
What are you
see,
talking about, Tom? All you have to do is connect your MX record to
Take it to the
your
max.
record, and then you alias a CNAME, and
That's
you're
right.
there.
It really is. No, it is very simple. Like, if those words don't make sense to you, it probably sounds ridiculously complicated, but it means you go into hover.com or wherever, and you find CNAME, and you're like, send this, whenever anybody types this, send it to this link.
Yeah.
much it.
rss.mypodcast.com or insert my podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
I should always use example.com. IANA likes it when I do that.
Oh, yeah? Do they own example.com?
Or IANA. Yeah, example.com, example.net, example.org, every single TLD in existence is the best example domain name to ever use. Now,
I didn't realize
sponsors,
that they owned that.
one of my sponsors loves all of the documentation in the world that uses domain.com as like an example of a domain because they're a domain registrar.
Right.
But example.com is the official, like that's what you should be using as an example.
I knew that was the right thing to do, but I didn't know why. That's interesting.
Yeah, whenever I'm trying to figure out if there's something wonky going with the internet connection, first thing I do is ping 8.8.8.8 because if Google's down, we've got bigger problems. And the second thing I do is I pull up example.com and yeah. Lots of stuff.
I used to ping yahoo.com because if Yahoo was down in 2001.
Yeah.
Now it's
Something
just
was
Thursday.
It is.
Not for Pete's sake. I really want this to work. Come on.
Yeah, there's the word example in several different languages with all of the different...
They just reserved that in every domain. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, how's this business?
It's still low. I think you just need to make sure your icicle thing is turned all the way clockwise.
It's all the way up. It's all the way
That's
up.
better.
Are you on a Mac?
I'm on a Mac.
Make sure your mic property in your preference panel, your mic is turned up on the slider, all the way to the right. It's under
sound.
System preferences.
Input volume.
Yeah.
Select a device for sound input. Blue icicle.
And then select the icicle. Who's what's it?
Yeah.
And then just make sure the input volume's all to the right.
All right. Uptown, funk it up. Whoa, that's output volume. How's that? You tell me.
That's better.
All right. Roger Chang for the save.
Woohoo! Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Well, too bad I'll miss the shindig.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll see you, Tom, tomorrow evening.
Yep.
Class. My class, anyway.
You know what the problem with school in the summertime is? No class.
Oh, man.
All right. Oh, did you see... Wait, hold on. Oh, the judge sent the jury back.
Wait, for what?
Did you see this? The Ellen Powell Kleiner Perkins thing that came back. They said the jury decided for Kleiner Perkins, and then the judge sent the jury back saying it's not a sufficient majority on one of the claims. So it's not over yet. Holy Pete. The judge determined the jury did the math wrong in counting yeses and nos on one of the claims.
What?
Great. That's a jury
Yeah.
I want deciding my case.
No,
Hey, man,
you
I
want
was
my jury because I ran it.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
I feel very confident in their decision now that I know
Yeah.
they can't count.
Yeah.
You know, oftentimes, see, that's a problem. If you need a really good jury organizer to make sure that everyone's on the same page.
I know a good jury.
I was like, everyone agree? I want to see hands. Actually, it's funny. Everyone picked me out of the hat. It's like you're gonna be the jury head. It's like, why? It's like, I don't know. You just look like you'd be the most obvious choice. It's like, hey.
Hey, should we get off the air and talk to Darren, who probably has like a million things to do?
I just got out of the post. That's the only thing we were waiting
look at
for.
that timing.
Oh, but did we all agree that when the roof is on fire, it's all about the base?
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
Okay. That was an easy
You were overruled, jury.
Wait, hold on. How many people voted yes? How many people voted no?
Yeah.